and add Jordan. Hi, Jordan. And then let me go ahead and add Rico. All right. Hi, how are you guys today?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I am great. Thank you all for taking time out of your day to come on here. So I just want to let viewers know March is National Nutrition Month and Athletic Training Month. So this whole month of March, I'm going to be talking about nutrition and health in general. And March is green, and it's your birthday month, Jordan. So we've got a lot to talk about. So
and Rico's too.
Oh, is it your birthday in March too?
Yeah, actually right on St. Patrick's Day. So.
Oh, wow. Okay, awesome. So that's even better. Thank you, Jordan, for sharing that. So I just want to get started. I'll start with you first, Rico, and then Jordan. Go ahead and introduce yourselves to the guests, and then we'll dive right into the conversation from there.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Rico Armstrong. I am a fitness coach, group fitness coach, and also do one-on-one online personal training, focusing on strength. And I do most of my group fitness coaching at Orange Theory Fitness. I've been doing all the things now for almost 5,000 group classes already. Yeah, I have done a few of them, but I absolutely love it.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, Jordan. Oh, Jordan, can you hear me?
I'm a member of Orange Theory, so that's how I know Rico. Jara and I went to high school together a long time ago. I'm also a certified personal trainer. I just don't do anything with it. I actually work as an engineer. As you can see, I'm sitting in my car at my job right now. But I also attend Orange Theory, and that's how I kind of got back into loving fitness and stuff. And I'm almost to my 750th Orange Theory class.
Nice. And don't forget to mention you are a marathon runner, which is a big thing.
True. Yes. As of recently, yeah.
Yeah. as of recently. So basically, I'll kind of just start with you, Rico. I just want to know a little bit more about you and what brought you to fitness and health in general, and how did you get to become a fitness trainer? And then Jordan, I'll go to you.
What got me into fitness was just I gained weight for the first time ever in my life. I grew up a skinny kid, never had muscles. I was just skinny.
Wow.
And then life happened, stress happened, depression happened, and I gained all this weight, and I didn't really know how to lose it. I just knew I needed to do something. And then after trying a slew of different avenues, I fell upon group fitness, and then eventually hired a personal trainer. And those two things it literally changed my life on not just losing weight and feeling better, but mentally just going through life.
Wow. Right.
Overcoming depression, handling stress better, and things just kept getting better and better from there. So at some point I just looked back and I was like, man, I want everybody to feel this way, because I think they're coming to fitness because of some kind of stress or insecurities. And so here I am.
Wow. I love that. All right, Jordan, what kind of brought you to taking control?
Yeah, it's a little bit of the same thing. So I was always pretty active growing up. My whole family, we always played sports and everything like that. And through high school, then go to college, and I kind of stopped being active. I was more focused on, hanging out with friends, studying, whatever else other than, physical activity. So I gained a lot of the weight, and really at the time I didn't think about it. But I told Rico this, and I looked at a picture of myself the day I graduated college, and I couldn't even recognize myself, like the way that I looked. So really getting back into fitness was that was the first step. It was just like, I don't even know that person in that picture. So obviously the first part of it was to lose weight, or, to get back to feeling like myself. So I tried a bunch of different avenues, YouTube videos, all kinds of different things before I realized that there was an Orange Theory opening right across the street from my apartment. My sister did Orange Theory in college a little bit, and she told me I would hate it. So I was like, well, I'm going to prove you wrong, and I'm going to do it anyway. So I did it, joined that, and I loved it since the first class. And really, after going to class and kind of just being active again, that's kind of what, I guess, rebrought my love to fitness back. It really wasn't so much about the weight loss anymore, just the way that I felt.
Right. I love that. So I want to talk a little bit about, like, starting a fitness journey? Because I feel like I'll draw from my own personal experience. If you weren't active growing up, or if you were, but you weren't like someone who went to group fitness classes, right, or the gym, you're just a little bit kind of nervous on like where to start. And you have all this anxiety building up about like, I don't even know how to use the machines. I don't want to join this group fitness class because everyone's going to be staring at me and I don't know what I'm doing. I'll be like, keep going, Jaira. Okay. You know, and just things like that. And I feel like a lot of people use that, and it kind of turns them off, and they kind of use it as a reason to just be like, you know what, I'm just not gonna start my fitness journey. But then you have people who do really, really want to start, but they don't know where to start or just how to start. So Rico, from your perspective as a fitness trainer and a coach, I would love for you to share some tips and advice on that. And then Jordan, I would love for you to share just you kind of having that aha moment like you did, where you didn't even recognize yourself, that at that point, any insecurities or negative thoughts that you had, you're like, no matter what, I'm going to do this. So I'll start with you first, Rico.
Yeah, where to start or how to start. If you can afford it, I believe working with a trainer one-on-one could really set a good foundation for anything that you might do for the rest of your life. Because if the trainer is good and knows the body and how it's supposed to move, then you can take that into a group fitness. You can take that into whatever you want, and then feel very confident that you can walk into that space and know what you're doing. However, that's usually the most expensive route. So if you are on a budget, then I would say go to a group fitness class. Because you can still rely on the coach. You may not have that coach or trainer with you for the entirety of the class, but they are going to take their time to make sure that everybody's in there doing something safely at the very minimum.
Right.
And so you kind of have that confidence. It's just not only you trying to figure it out, but you have somebody there that's going to keep an eye on you to make sure that you're safe. And then just know that you can progress from there. Every time you come back and you get to know the coach, especially, the coach gets to learn how you move, and you build that relationship with them. They're going to end up helping you out and continue to progress from there.
I love that. I think that's really important because, like you said, that's a good point. Budget wise, there's a lot of people who are like, I'd love to get a gym membership, or I'd love to start, go to Orange Theory, do this or that. But they're like, money's a factor. And it's kind of sad because when it comes to health, our health should be our number one priority, right? But and I just mean like the human race in general, we would rather put like trying to pay our bills and doing all of these other things first, right? Before our health. But if our health isn't up to par, the rest of our life isn't going to match up. We're not going to be as productive as we would at work. We're not going to be able to go to family functions and have a good time because we're feeling miserable. So that's a really good point that you brought up. Okay. And Jordan, from your perspective.
Yeah, I think like Rico said, I mean, I was obviously super nervous, especially going into group fitness class, which I'd never done, parts of it before. And I knew that I was overweight and not in shape. And I was really nervous to go in there, and all the fit people around me would like laugh at me or, think like, why is she even here? But I think the thing that people, it's a real big misconception, I think, about fitness classes because, and I don't know if it's just because of how I've felt with Orange Theory, but the people that are there, they don't care where you're starting. The fact that you're there, that's good enough for them. And everyone cheers each other on. I mean, it's not like, if you're power walking, you're not as good, or if you're not lifting as heavy, you're not as good as someone else. So I think that the atmosphere of having people there with the same kind of ideals and thought process and wanting to better themselves, I think that's really kind of what brings people back and keeps them going.
Right. I love that. So for both of you guys, this question, what would y'all say are some of the things that people can do, I would say I'll call them fitness newbies, can do to kind of overcome these anxieties and insecurities that they have to get to the point where they do, reach out to maybe Rico to train them, or they do decide to reach out and be like, okay, I'm going to do an Orange Theory class with Jordan. What are some of the suggestions you would have?
I think it's really hard people usually what gets people to get over their insecurities is just being in that painful spot for too long. So the pain of wherever they're at, like they looked in the mirror, they looked at a photo, they're not as attractive to their mate. Usually those are the things that are so painful that, okay, well, the pain of feeling insecure at the gym is not nearly as great as where I'm at right now. But I could say that I think one of the best things that I had heard is I interviewed somebody once, and he was made fun of for taking his shirt off, riding his bike to the gym by some girls. They're like, hey, put your shirt back on. And what he said in the interview was, you know what, they were right. I wasn't in the best shape, but he goes, I didn't care because I was doing something about it. And within that statement, he said a whole lot. He basically acknowledged where he was at, and he made peace with where he was at. And he took more comfort and satisfaction knowing that he was doing something about it. So I think for people who are new, like, you can acknowledge where you're at, even if it's not great, but then also acknowledge that you're doing something about it and feel better about that part than whatever else might be holding you back.
Right. Absolutely. I agree. Jordan, I know
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I feel like the main thing for me, and I know that I've spoken with other people too, you've got to love yourself where you're at, and just know that you're aiming to better yourself. It's not because you're trying to lose the weight or whatever it may be, but you're doing something to better yourself, to better your health, and to live a longer, healthier life. And you have to just be, accepting of that. And if you want to go try a group fitness class or whatever, maybe you don't like it, but you don't give up. You go try a different class, or you go try doing something else. Maybe you just decide to go, start walking around the block with friends or with your dog, or jumping rope or whatever it may be. Maybe you don't need to go to a class with people, but you have to find that one thing that you're okay, that you enjoy doing. Otherwise, you're not going to stick with it.
Right. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about the insecurities. One of the example that you brought up, Rico, is perfect about the guy, taking his shirt off, riding his bike, and people kind of laughing, and, the whole concept and idea of someone's self-body image and trying to get exercise and start their fitness journey. So for you guys, do you guys see body image more so as a motivator to get someone to do better and take control, or do you see it as something that kind of hinders people in terms of, and what I mean by that is, like, someone may become too obsessed with how they look, and then they just kind of go crazy maybe at the gym, or their fitness journey becomes an obsession, an unhealthy obsession, and they have to look this way or be a certain way, and maybe it leads to the eating disorder or something, route down that way. How do you guys see it? What are your thoughts about that? I'll start with Rico first.
I believe that the body image part motivates people at first.
Okay.
Everybody comes into the gym. I don't know anybody who's ever come starting their fitness journey and didn't start because of some kind of insecurities with their body. So that motivates them to get there, but that usually does not get them to stay there. Usually what gets them to stay there and makes them continue to be motivated is all about their abilities. So they show up because I want to lose some pounds, and then they stay because, like, oh my gosh, I've gotten stronger and this feels amazing, or I'm able to run faster and this is absolutely amazing. I want to keep this going. It's not to say that there aren't some people that are more obsessed with their body image, but it's not the thing that keeps them there most of the time. And I think having people growing their abilities and growing their confidence really puts to the back seat whatever insecurities about their body image that they may have came in with.
I agree. I agree completely 100%. And I think it's important to define that, like you said, what gets them started, but versus what keeps them. And then quickly, before I go to you, Jordan, what do you think makes people give up, Rico, in that situation? Maybe the body image, right? It got them there. They're going to maybe they're going to Orange Theory fitness classes. Maybe it's their 100th class, but then they get to a point where they're just like, they stop and they just kind of trail off. What do you think about that? Why are some of the reasons people do that?
I find 2 reasons, or maybe 3 reasons. One, they might just get simply bored of the same routine and they simply don't know what to do next. they stop making progress. So maybe like 6 months into it, they feel great, and then all of a sudden, I was like, man, I'm not changing, I'm not improving, and so they might stop for that. And oddly, the third reason is they find a relationship and have too much fun in that relationship, and then they usually will eventually come back, but they usually pause for a moment because they're having a lot of fun. To that, I would just say keep finding a way to progress no matter what. And that's the reason why I started to do more one-on-one coaching, is because people would be in my group fitness classes, but you can only get so strong or so fast. And that's when they would transfer into maybe more of that one-on-one coaching, where we can really nail down something very specific to keep them progressing. And then they can come back to that group fitness and do even better than they were before.
Right. Absolutely. I agree. Jordan, your thoughts on the body image and exercise, and then what keeps you going?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything Rico said. I mean, even from my own personal experience, obviously the reason I started going to the gym was because of body image issues, which I've always had. I've always been a bigger girl. But it's like I've told Rico this too, so he'll laugh because he's already heard this. But, going to Orange Theory and starting out, I was not good. Like, I could barely run. I couldn't lift weights. I could do nothing. But the more that you push yourself, the stronger you get and the better you feel. And then you start to, at least in my case, I started to kind of appreciate my body because it allowed me to do these things. And, not everyone is capable of even walking a mile. Not everyone's capable of being able to use their body and do activity like that. So I think, especially from personal experience, I mean, the fact that you're able to do anything at all and you're choosing to do it definitely put me back in a mindset of like, I can do anything.
Right. No, absolutely. I agree. So for you, this question is specifically for you, Rico. So as a fitness trainer, as a coach, what is kind of your philosophy? What do you offer to people who maybe have no idea where to start? Like, what are some of the approaches that you take to make sure someone is getting the best coaching and training that they need?
So since I work in two different spaces, I would say for that person who comes into like the group fitness space, I definitely want them to feel successful. And I want that to be internally motivated. So they're not working out for me, like, hey, give me one more. It's more like, you're here for a reason. We're going to work with that. And then I just want to make sure that they stay safe. And then I work with them until they get to a level kind of like Jordan, where I was like, man, I trust Jordan. I just look at her and I was like, man, she's doing it right again. But I'm going to work with somebody until they get to that point at least. But my philosophy more on the one-on-one is working on the things that I find are common errors in fitness when people even go to a group fitness class, and the things that I'm not able to maybe help with because my time is limited. That's what I really focus in on the one-on-one space.
Okay.
Working through very specific body movements to help them progress, so that way they prevent injury and still able to get stronger and things like that.
I love that. So Jordan, for you, in terms of like coaching and a trainer, like for you on the opposite end, what are some of the things that you kind of look for in a trainer or a coach? What have you found to be rewarding and helpful for you as someone who, started going to the Orange Theory classes? And I'm sure people can say like, oh, people say it all the time. Like, I like Rico because he does, he coaches me this way versus maybe Jaira, who has this approach. For you on the opposite end, what are some of those things that kind of, spoke to you and you were like, okay, this is why I go to this person?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and obviously I go to Rico's class a lot, so obviously you're doing something right, Rico. But I really like, it's like a motivation thing, but not so much of like, oh, keep going, you can do it. It's like looking at you specifically and saying, okay, like I know you can lift heavier than that, so like try it. Like even if you fail, just try it. And at least that you're trying to better yourself and do that. But also someone that will like correct your form, which is a big thing with group fitness classes, just because there are so many people. Sometimes coaches don't always correct your form and don't let you know that you're doing something incorrectly. But I want to know if I'm doing something wrong. So one, I don't injure myself, and two, so I can do the proper movement and get the right activation on the correct muscles and things like that. So people that will kind of, pay attention individually and make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right. So my question for both of you is, why Orange Theory? I know I drive across, I see all the different types of, fitness group classes, but what drew you guys to Orange Theory? What do you think has kept you there and all of this time? And like you said, Rico, did you say 5,000 earlier?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why Orange Theory for maybe anybody out there who's looking to do something different or maybe interested in trying? What has kept you guys both there?
Well, I can, from my own personal experience, when I got into Orange Theory, again, I wasn't somebody who knew much about exercise at all. And it was a good entry level way for most people to get in. And I think that's one of the biggest things that they do well is you can make it as hard or maybe regress it a little bit depending on your personal fitness level. Not every place does that. And then also too, with the heart rate monitor, if you're new, sometimes it's really hard to gauge, am I working too hard? Am I not working hard enough? And having that heart rate monitor, especially when you're new, helps you to understand what it feels like and what you should be feeling to a certain intensity level. And that really transfers well into anything else that you do outside the studio.
Jordan?
Yeah, there's a couple reasons. That I chose Orange Theory and have stayed with Orange Theory.
Right.
One, it was close to my apartment, so I decided to give it a try, right? Second one is, though, the workout changes every day. So I never feel like I get bored because I'm constantly doing the same thing. Like, it changes every day. We'll repeat exercises, and sometimes we'll have, benchmarks or staple workouts or something like that, but the workout is never the same. So that prevents me from getting bored, right? And then also the fact that there's a coach there, someone telling me what I need to do, because I'm not someone who's going to go to the gym and be like, okay, today I need to do, push-ups, and then I need to do, squats and whatever. I'm not going to come up with that plan myself. So I need someone there telling me, this is what you need to do, then do this, blah, blah, blah. And then I can choose, my own weights and stuff based on that, but someone giving me the actual exercises. And then I guess the final thing would be just the community that there is at Orange Theory. I know especially at the Uptown studio, which is where I go, there's so many people there that have the same kind of mindset of, they love working out and they're there all the time, just like I am. And so you kind of get to know these people and they become your friends. And I think having friends that will work out with you is definitely something that keeps you going.
Absolutely. I completely agree. So let's talk about life. We all know life happens and life interrupts things all the time. I mean, we can just draw from this pandemic that's interrupted life and changed things from us, right? So I know when the pandemic first happened, right, a lot of gyms were closed. I remember seeing Jordan post on social media, like, you were dying to get back to your classes and things like that. So kind of when life happens, maybe now that things are, back open and keep opening back up and things are getting better, people are ready to transition back into their fitness, training and journey. But because life happened or COVID happened, they kind of just trail off. So, in you guys' opinion, again, Rico, I'll start with you. Kind of, what's some of the things that you think, some of the suggestions you have or advice you would share for people who want to get back into it or started off well, right? But then life happens. I'll give a good example. Moms, right? They're busy trying to manage the house, the kids, their full-time jobs, just all of those things. And they might start off good and then they trail off. What are some of the advice that you would give to people out there who, when life happens, it interrupts and then it turns into I don't have time to work out, or I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have time to attend a training session. I just don't have the time.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things that can happen. This is one of my favorite things I love to do when I work with people one-on-one, because I rarely have a client where life doesn't happen to them and they're just like there every single time. And so I'll just have these conversations. I say, what's going on? Oh, I'm moving, I'm doing this and that, and I missed my workout. I'm going to make it up. And so in their mind, sometimes it ends up adding more stress mentally. So depending on what's happening in their life in that moment, sometimes I'm like, it's okay to miss this one workout. All right. Because if just trying to fit that in is adding stress, we're going against the purpose. Sometimes it's just a matter of making smaller adjustments. So if life happened and changed your circumstance, then you can change your workout to fit the circumstance. So for example, if somebody was used to working out for an hour, maybe we make it 30 to 45 minutes instead. And, working one-on-one, we can still make sure that's very efficient.
Right.
Or if they can't make it to the gym, we can find a way to do something at home or their schedule. So those are the conversations that I have a lot with my clients, is that if your circumstances change, then we can change your workout to fit your circumstance. There's always a way. We just, you talk to your coach or your trainer about doing that, and the good ones will find solutions for that.
Right. Absolutely. Jordan, from your perspective, I'm sure as someone attending this stuff, life happens all the time, and maybe you've had to reschedule. Kind of, what do you tell yourself to kind of jump back in?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing is, like, people think that they have to be motivated, and I don't think it's really motivation. It's people need to be disciplined. So like, sometimes I work late, or sometimes I have to go in early. It just kind of depends. But when I first started this fitness journey, I made the decision to wake up early, and so I go to the 4:30 a.m. class most days. Sometimes I'll sleep in, like everyone needs to sleep, but that was the choice that I made to make sure that I could get my workout in during the day. Because sometimes you go to work, and when you get home, you don't want to leave the apartment again, especially to go do an intense workout. You just want to sit there, watch TV, read a book, whatever. So I think the biggest thing for me was to be disciplined enough to tell myself, wake up an hour earlier so that you can go to the gym, get it done, and then you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the day. But in the other sense, sometimes I do sleep in, don't want to go to the 4:30 class, but I also tell myself, like, when I get home from work, okay, do I really want to work out today? Because I know that I'll feel better after I do it. So sometimes I will end up going to like a 6:20, 7 o'clock class, just because that, having done it for so long now, I feel like I'm disciplined enough to know that I'm going to feel better. I'm going to regret it if I don't go. So I just will find the time. If you want to find the time, you'll find the time.
Right. I love what you said. I'm kind of laughing because I'm thinking about how when Jamie and I first found out you were always like, come join us on one of those classes. And Jamie and I were like, 4:30. We were like, so kudos to Jamie. I still need to get there.
Yeah.
But what you mentioned something really important and key, which is self-discipline. And I feel like that kind of goes with the mindset. So this question is for you specifically, Rico. As a coach, what can you advise and tell people to get in the mindset to why they need to, do these classes? Because sometimes, like you said, touched on a little bit earlier, it's maybe they're unhappy with something and that's why they come in. But I just feel like Jordan said, you definitely do have to be disciplined. And maybe as a coach, do you find that sometimes people's reasonings for wanting to start or wanting to continue are the wrong reasons, or they have the wrong mindset? Or as a coach, what do you think that mindset should look like so that they cannot just do the fitness journey? Because there's plenty of people, I will say, who are in the middle of the fitness journey, but maybe they're not progressing, right? They just reached a plateau. They're kind of staying the same. And they feel like I'm at the gym, right? Or I go I go 2 to 3 times, but maybe they're not gaining any muscle, or, you know what I mean? Nothing's happening, but because on the outside it looks good because they're physically there, right? But they're not learning anything. What are your thoughts about that, essentially?
To that point, I would agree. There's definitely people that show up just to say that they worked out, but they're not really working that hard. Or some people are very temporary, right? Some people have a temporary goal, like, I'm going to get married, I want to look good for the wedding, or I'm going to go to vacation, I want to look good for my pictures. And if that ends up being the inspiration to show up to the gym, that is definitely a limited short-term thing. However, I always try to focus on people who are trying to improve. And when they make those improvements, I try to make sure that they know the improvement they made.
Right.
So if they come in and instead of, I want to look good for a vacation, the goal is I want to be better than I was yesterday. And then I'm able to help show them where they were better.
Right.
That is usually the mindset that keeps people there for longer. And if they've been in my classes or if they've been training with me one-on-one for a certain amount of time and they start to feel that, man, I don't really want to show up, or, you know, a lot of the other things that might happen, I just like to remind them where they came from. And then all of a sudden they think back to all the hard work and all the progress. And now all of a sudden they're more motivated because of the progress that they've made.
Right. Absolutely. Jordan, for you, did you find yourself in the beginning, like, obviously we know the end result, right? Your positive thoughts outweighed your negative because you're still going. But in the beginning, did you find yourself in your fitness journey wanting to just, you know, give up or just kind of think like this is going to be temporary? Did you kind of start and say, maybe you want to lose 15 or 20 pounds and then, you know, after that, you don't need to go anymore? Did you have any thoughts like that in the beginning?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the reason that I started going to the gym originally was to lose weight. I mean, I didn't have a number, but I was like, I need to lose weight and I need, you know, to work on my health. And so that would, of course, was the original reason that I started going to the gym. But like I said earlier, I mean, the more you go and the more that you have coaches who help you, and, you know, you have bad days, you have good days. So it's not always going to be the best workout that you've ever done, but you can't let that, you know, set you back. You can't let that disappoint you and stop you from keeping going. So, I mean, the more that you go, the more you realize, like, you know, I can do this. And so that's kind of, you know, the way that I feel now going to the gym every day, or pretty much every day. You know, I love running now, which I used to hate doing. I will lift weights, and sometimes I'll try to lift much heavier than I probably should, and I know that I can't do it, and I'll fail, but it's okay to fail because you're trying, and eventually, you know, you'll get there and you'll progress. And that's kind of, you know, seeing the progress, especially from where I was when I started, like almost 3 years ago.
Right.
It's crazy to me, and the fact that I see the progress, even just myself. I know other people can see it, but the fact that I see it myself is what keeps me going.
Yeah, absolutely. Rico, you have a podcast that I did want to get you to share with us and talk to us a little bit more about your podcast and kind of what inspired you to start that.
Yes, thank you. So the Coach Rico Strong podcast, you can find that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. The inspiration came from a lot of the conversations that I've had with clients and members at the fitness studio. And I just found them, you know, people come to the coach and they expect us to be inspiring and motivating. But honestly, listening to everybody's story, I just inherently believe that if we all had a microphone and could share our stories of our greatest struggles and our greatest triumphs, we would all be more encouraged to do more.
Right.
And that's kind of the inspiration after hearing so many people talk about their personal fitness story. And, you know, I had the privilege of interviewing Jordan. She's on that podcast on one of the episodes, and a few others that just, you know, they talk about what was their biggest struggle, what got them into fitness, and all the things. And so the things that we've been talking about, people have insecurities, people don't know where to start.
Right.
Now they can listen to their peers who had similar struggles and hopefully be inspired to have some similar triumphs as you hear the stories in that podcast.
Right. I love that because I think, I mean, this kind of is a little bit off topic, but it goes for, I think that's how influencers, like the birth of influencers, right? They realized, okay, we can get everyday people who look like you and me to say, try this dress on or go to this gym or eat this food, right? Versus, you know, celebrity and public figures, because you know, generally people are kind of skeptical when it's coming from, right, people with money or or something like that. So it's just like, you're right. I think it's smart. Like if I see Jordan talking about it, I'm like, oh, wow, okay, here's Jordan talking about her fitness story, I can, I can be like Jordan, or I see you saying like, you were just a skinny, skinny kid growing up, and then you turned around and look at your life now. It is a great way, I think, to motivate each other. For you guys, with as a trainer, and then you, Jordan, how are you guys, how did y'all manage during COVID? Because even Rico, outside of being a coach, I'm sure it affected you and your training and you just wanting to get out, right? And exercise and work out. How did you guys manage, and what did you kind of have to tell yourselves to keep yourselves going and not get like, too overwhelmed? Because Rico, I'm sure you're trying to balance clients and, your own stuff. Jordan, I know you were trying to get your become a certified personal trainer, then COVID happened and all of this stuff. So what kind of kept you guys grounded and sane and just like, okay, I know this pandemic is happening, but I still have to put my health first? Whoever wants to start.
I'll let Rico go first.
I'll be honest, when we were first in the lockdown because of COVID, that was one of the biggest struggles I think I had in my life, because not only did I not have a gym to work out in, and I didn't really have a whole lot of home equipment, but I couldn't work. So, because the gyms were closed. So right. Waking up literally every day, like, what do I do today?
Right.
Waking up without a purpose is really hard.
Yeah.
And then we did like everybody else. There's, people just all of a sudden were blowing up with at-home videos, and
right.
people were running when they didn't usually run. And I did that too. But I was really grateful. As hard as that struggle was, I was really grateful for the training that I was able to put in before the lockdown, because fitness, if you're really trying to progress and be better and you're constantly pushing your limits, which requires something mental to overcome a struggle. Well, the lockdown and COVID was another struggle that mentally I was basically training to prepare to like get through it.
Right.
So what I did find in that process though was different things that I could do to still improve, even though it wasn't what I was used to. And so, things like stability work, making sure that symmetry of my strength from my left side to the right side was balanced and still being able to work out with a purpose.
Right.
Very beneficial during that time.
I would imagine. Jordan, how about for you?
Yeah, the beginning, especially of lockdown, was really tough for me mentally, just because I do, going to the gym kind of is, good not only for my physical health, but for my mental health. It makes me just feel better overall. So it's definitely a struggle at the beginning. But like Rico said, I'm glad that I had kind of the background of my, my discipline and my motivation, because I know I enjoyed working out. So I found other ways to work out. I tried a couple of home videos and I didn't really enjoy them as much as some people did, which is fine. But I found other ways. So I went out and I started running like a lot of people did. I'm also a member of a kickboxing gym, and they did kind of at-home videos, and so I was doing those a lot. And just, again, finding something to do. There was a time when I was running 10, 12 miles inside my apartment. I would just run back and forth in my living room just to get my body moving, because I was sitting at home doing nothing, and I just felt like I needed to do some sort of activity. So I would watch TV and just run in place in my apartment, run back and forth, just finding things to actually keep my body moving and make me feel like I was at least putting forth some sort of effort for activity.
Right, absolutely. So I have two final questions for you guys as we come near the conclusion of the show. So for both of you, do you guys believe in fitness assessments? And if so, if you go to your coach or your trainer, you get your fitness assessment, do you believe that like people have, when it comes to fitness, people have certain types? So is it like kind of like, okay, you're more so, you should stick to like workouts that, deal with cardio, or you're more so, you're a runner? What do you guys think about that?
I think that can be useful. I think making an assessment on, whether you should be doing cardio versus strength training and something like that can be very, very tricky, because then we're talking about limiting people based on a test. Right. So as a trainer, when I go through a fitness assessment with somebody, it has less to do with what's right for your type, because really what's right for you is going to be what you enjoy the most that you can do well. Right. So like some people can love running, but they're not going to be the best runner. But if they stick with it and they just want to get better, then I'm not going to say you shouldn't be running because this test says so.
Right.
But what I will say is if we have an assessment that is all about how your body is currently moving, then we can figure out, okay, maybe we can train a certain way to get your body to move better for whatever.
Right. Absolutely. What do you think, Jordan?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, the best workout for you is the workout you're going to stick to. And that's pretty much all there is to say about that.
Yeah. And the reason I asked that question is because drawing from my own personal experience, I remember thinking like back in college when people would say like, oh, Jared, do you want to go to the gym with me or something? I used to say all the time, I'm not really a gym person, but if we like go, out and do some kind of like dance or like a boxing class or something different, like I'll do that. But like the gym, that's not really my thing. And I had to get out of that mindset to where, you know what I mean? You don't just have one type and then it's not your thing, Jared, because you're telling yourself it's not your thing, right? So how would I ever expect myself to go to the gym if I'm literally telling myself, I've trained in my brain, like the gym is not where you go. That's for those like intense people, right? And I feel like there's a lot of people who have that. Would y'all agree?
I would say I shared some of that. I would have never thought of myself as somebody who would be into group fitness. I remember my first time working, I'm not that strong. But then I hired somebody to show me the things that I didn't know.
Right.
And then I was able to become that person. So even if you're like, well, that's not me, it doesn't mean that we can't learn to be that person if we really want to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So my final question for you guys is, what has been the biggest reward so far in y'all's fitness journeys, you would say? What have you learned, I guess, so far about yourselves in general? Or even Rico, for you, yourself, and then also you as a coach or trainer?
With the reason for me to be in fitness is for other people to feel the same things I did. That never gets old. It never gets old. So even today I was coaching and I had encouraged these two girls, their friends, they were coming to my class and I said, you're power walking, you're ready to run. And they doubted it. I was like, no, you're ready. I said, but you don't have to run with inclines. You can just run. And then they weren't in my class today. I just showed up to go for my shift and I saw them running at inclines and like encouraging each other to do it. And I was like, you girls were running at incline. What happened? And they're like, well, and I was like, those moments where you see people improve and they're smiling, you can see that they're proud of themselves. I get to see that all the time. And one person told me those are the things that for him and other people around that have been to my class, he's like, you're changing people's lives when you do that.
Love that.
That's just really, really rewarding. It's really hard to put into words, but it's gratifying.
Right. I love that. Jordan, what about you? What have you learned about yourself so far? And what's been your biggest reward since starting?
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing is that just learning that you're capable of anything that you put your mind to. Your body can do things that you don't think it can. It may take time to get there, but you will get there if you keep working at it. So I guess the most rewarding thing is the fact that I started out as a very, very slow power walker, didn't even want to do that. And now I can run and I like to think I'm a little bit fast. I don't, so, like progressing just in different ways, whether it be running on the treadmill, lifting heavier weights. We also do rowers at Orange Theory. So, that's something that I had never done before that. But the fact that if I put my mind to something and I make a goal for myself, I will get there even if it takes time.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. Well, I want to thank you guys both so much for taking time out of your day to come on the show and share with us, your personal stories and your fitness journeys. Viewers, I have below there all of their social media information. So if unfortunately, I was trying to put Facebook, Twitter, everything on there, but you can see how small the line is, so it doesn't let me include everything. So I try to do the most important things just in case you guys are like, I have more than that. But yeah, so there's their Instagram, and then you guys can go to Apple Podcasts. And did you say Spotify as well for your Coach Rico? Yeah, for the Coach Rico Strong podcast. And of course, Rico, if you have anything new, Jordan, if you run another marathon, please let us know so I can share with viewers and we'll be, checking in. And anybody who's watching, if you guys are looking to start your fitness journey, looking for a coach, or don't, want to try something different, thinking about a group fitness class, please reach out to Jordan or Rico, or reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to connect you with them, and consider doing Orange Theory. And hopefully, Jordan, this year, because my whole thing for this year is thriving anniversary, Jamie and I will wake up at 4:30. Maybe we can go to Rico's class and do that. And I am like, guys, I'm dying. I think that would be a future episode, right, of the show. Have me on there like, guys, just do it. You can do it.
I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. And fun. So I look forward to doing that with you guys in the future. But thank you all both for coming on the show, and I will be in contact with you guys soon. So thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. So you guys, we had such a great show today. I had 4 amazing guests. If you're just now tuning in, unfortunately, we're at the end of the show, but thank you all so much for tuning in to the Jaira Nicole Show. It's every Tuesday, again, from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And I'm bringing you guys ordinary people with extraordinary stories. And here on the Jaira Nicole Show, you can dive into the conversation and always come out with a new perspective. And we're turning everyday stories into stories that matter. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm not sure what's going on with my video for the breaks, but it just doesn't want to play today. So I am just going to put up a little graphic, and I'm going to say thank you all so much for watching. And I will see you guys back here again next Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Central Time.